Good day, everyone. I will discuss Module 11, Legal Terms and Phrases. When we say legal, this is relating to a law or the processes of a law, a legal question, take legal action. Appellate jurisdiction, as contrasted with original jurisdiction, appellate jurisdiction refers to the power of review and redress of prior litigation by an interior court. Appellate jurisdiction also, this is the power of an appellate court to review, amend, and overrule decision of a court. The court also hears an appeal from a court of original jurisdiction. Next, bailiff, a sheriff deputy or constable, a minor officer of the court. Bailiff also a legal officer to whom some degrees of authority or jurisdiction is given. Client, the patron or customer of an attorney or a law firm. Means client is the one who pays for services of a lawyer. Next is judge. Judge, a public official appointed or elected to hear and decide cases in a law of court. The role of judge is to keep order or tell you the sentence of the person. Judge also responsible for ensuring that the law are followed and the jury determines the facts. Sheriff, the chief officer of the country having the duty, among others, of maintaining peace and serving judicial rights. The role of sheriff, an enforces court orders and mandates and may perform duties such as eviction, seizing property and asset pursuant to court orders and serving warrants and legal papers. Next, civil, pertaining to the private rights of individuals in the community and to legal proceedings in connection with those rights. Civil can also describe things related to a community of people and their government or a civilization. Next is criminal, involving or of the nature of a crime, a person who has committed a crime. Criminal also, a crime is an unlawful act punishable by a state or other authority. The jurisdiction, the legal power, right, or authority to hear and determine a cause of action. Jurisdiction also, the extent of the power to make legal decisions and judgments. Legislative, pertaining to the making of laws or the body that makes the law. In other words, legislative is a deliberate assembly with the authority to make law for a political entity such a country or a city. Municipal, pertaining to a town or city having local self-government. In other words, municipal means associated with or belonging to a city or town that has its own local government. Ordinances, local laws or regulations enacted by a municipal government. Ordinances also deals with the maintaining public health and safety, public morals, behaviors, and general welfare. Statute, a law enacted by a legislative branch of a government. Statutes are also formal written enactment of legislative authority that governs the legal entities of a city, state, or country by the way of consent. Next, administrative, of art pertaining to a management of business or public affairs. Executive responsibilities and functions are indicated. Next is board. Board is a group of people appointed or elected with authority to share the management or direction of a business or a trust. Bureau, a subdivisions of a governmental department. Next is commercial, of or pertaining to a trade and commerce. Commissions, a group of peoples appointed or elected with authority to do certain designated things. Also, the formal documents conferring authority. The next one is municipalities, cities or towns or other districts having local self-governments. Precedents, that which the tense serves as a guide or reasons for a later cause of actions. Contributory negligence, the expressions indicates a failure to do that which a prudent and reasonable person will do. or to do which a reasonable and prudent person would not do under the same or similar circumstances. The next one is the defendant. The persons being sued or the defendant is a person accused of committing active in criminal prosecutions or a person against whom some type of civil relief is being sought in a civil case. District Attorney, a public officer elected or appointed whose chief duty is to prosecute suits on behalf of the state. The evidence that which makes clear or ascertains the truth of the fact or point in issue on either one side or the other. Those rules of law relating to testimony. Feudal system, the social, economic, and political system of the Middle Ages under which vassals held land on giving service to the lord, owning it in return for protection and the use of the land. The next one is affidavit, a statement or declaration reduced to writing and sworn of a firm to before an officer who has authority to administer an oath or affirmation. The authentication, such official attestation of a written instrument as will rendered, instruments as well render it legally admissible in evidence. Document, an official paper, written or printed, that gives information or proof of some fact, any matter expressed or described on any substance intended to be used for the purpose of recording that matter. The heritage, what is or may be handed on the person from his ancestors' inheritance. In other words, heritage is the full range of our inherited traditions, monuments, objects, and cultures. Seal, at common law, an impression on wax, a wafer, or some other tenacious materials, but in modern practice, the letter LS, locus sigilli, or the word seal, enclosed in a scroll, either written or printed, and acknowledged in the body of the document to be sealed. Avet, to assist or to countenance, abetting, impart, a positive action in the aid of the commission of an offense. Other legal terms, breach of contract, the failure by party to a contract to fulfill the terms of the contract in accordance with his promise. Next, crime. Crime is a legal offense against organized society, a violation of a law designed to protect the interests of the social order of organized society. A tort. Tort is a legal wrong against a person's right vested in the persons or entry by law. Treason, a betrayal of one's country or ruler. Adjudicate, to hear, try, and determine as a court. Decree, an order or a sentence of a court equity. Judgment, the application of the law to the facts and pleadings in a civil case. Next, tentative, experimental, provisional. Tentative is also not fully worked out or developed. Next, complainant, the party who makes the complaint in a legal action or the one for whom such action is taken. Next, damages, a sum recoverable as amends for a wrong, inadequate compensations or the loss suffered or the injury sustained. Next, immunities, the freedoms or protection from obligation, service, or duty otherwise legally imposed. Injunction, a restraining order issued by a court of equity as a command to compel the performance or the accessions of some act. Entity, a being either actual or artificial, a person, firm, or corporation. Felony, a grave crime that is punishable by heavy penalties such as imprisonment in a state of a federal prison, the death sentence. Misdemeanor, a lighter breach of the law than a felony and one that is punishable by such lesser penalties as loss of the right or assessments of a fine. Penalty, an exaction in the form of punishment for an act or lack of proper act, whether enforced by a criminal or a civil action. Next, remedy. The appropriate legal form of relief by which a remedial right may be enforced, a legal means of enforcing a right or redressing a wrong. Administrator. A person appointed by a probate court to settle the state of a deceased person. His duties are customarily defined by statute. If a woman is appointed, she called the administratrix. The contract. A written agreement that can be enforced at law. Next, executor. A person who is designated in a will as one who is to administer the state of a deceased testator. If a woman is named for the purpose, she is called executrix. Jury. A group of persons selected to hear evidence in the law court and sworn to give decisions in accordance with the evidence presented to them. A grand, large jury is an investigating body, and the petite, small jury is a trial jury. Next, justices. Persons empowered and charged with the duty of acting as a judge in litigation. Ordeal. A severe test or experience in early times, an effort to decide the guilt or innocence of an accused person by making him to do something dangerous. Aggrieve. Unjustly injured, unjustly caused grief or trouble. Competent. Legally qualified, able, fit. Duress. Overfollowing of the will of a person by force or fear. Executory. Not yet executed, not yet fully performed, completed, fulfilled, or carried out. To be performed in a whole or in a part. Next, acknowledgement. A statement under oath that the signature to a legal paper is genuine, and that is the one act and deed. Affidavit. Any statement or declaration of facts under oath. Next, perjury. The legal offense of swearing that something is true that one knows to be false. Next one, verification. A formal statement under oath confirming that the content contained in a writing bearing one's signature is true and correct. Agent. One empowered to act as a substitute or representative of his principal, with authority derived from the principal. Power of attorney. A written authorization to an agent to perform specific acts in behalf of his principal. Principal. A person's entity who has another person to act for him. Proxy. A document authorizing an agent to represent a stockholder to corporate meeting. That's all. Thank you. Hope you understand all the legal terms and phrases.